You are listening to the Knightline Sports Network, brought to you by Travis Dever and the Dever team, 386-690-1636.
Knightline is brought to you by the Dever team, your source for New Smyrna Beach real estate and everything else New Smyrna Beach. Go to www.thedeverteam.com and call UCF alumni Travis Dever for all your New Smyrna Beach needs. 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636.
Welcome to UCF Knightline, your source for UCF sports and former player information.
Hello, Night Nation. This is Andrew Phegley coming to you from the 1148 studios, and this is Knightline 268 from the award-winning Knightline Sports Network. Joining me as always,
Roger Phipps. And on this week's show, the Owls declawed, the Green Wave wash into the bounce house, your questions and Ask Knightline, the Tijuana Flats hot take of the week, and news and notes.
Alrighty, we're talking about a win again, which is very nice to do, 49-7 over the Temple Owls last week. What a performance by Mikey Keene, Roger. I think that he has finally started to get it together. They opened it up a little bit more, and it turned out really good. 49-7 was awesome. By the way, my pick last week, if you guys don't remember, was 41 or 47 or 42-7, 41-7. I can't remember. Something like that. I think it was 42-7, actually. But
41-7.
It was 41-7. Oh, my God. I can't think of anything tonight. It's been one of those days.
That's why I write these things down.
Well, yeah, and somebody called me out for yesterday because on the radio show, I guess I was blasting on the TV crew, and then I called Alec Holler. I called him Alex Holler.
Alex Holler.
Or something.
Alec, yeah.
Whatever. I'm glad that they called it out, though. I'm glad people are paying attention. That's good. At least people are listening. That's all I really care about.
Did they call me out for anything? Because I'm sure I screwed something up.
I don't know. It was Farmer Scott. He's good. We're friends, I think. I think he was just, busting my balls. Or cojones, because they won't let me say that on the radio.
You can't say that on the radio.
Can't say that on the radio.
Say it all over the podcast,
crazy.
Though.
Anyway, yeah, I think he was just messing with me. So it's funny anyway. I think I like to make fun of myself sometimes, and it's kind of karma for me doing that anyway. So it is what it is. Anyway, where did I leave off? 41-7. Yes, that's right. I picked 41-7, 49-7. That's close enough as far as I'm concerned.
Closer than I was.
Yeah. So I win. Which is not very often that I win and I'm right with that stuff. So I have to brag. Y'all know me. Let's get to Ask Knightline, because there's a lot of really good questions. Ask Knightline is brought to you by Chad Barr Law. Chad is a UCF alumnus and diehard Knights fan. Chad Barr Law handles auto accident, slip and fall, and personal injury cases. Call Chad today at 407-599-9036 for a free consultation. That's 407-599-9036. Armor up and call Chad Barr Law today. All right, I think everybody knows who Chad Barr is, by the way, now through all this, which is awesome. And I appreciate Chad. I just think it's funny every time I hear that, because that was the very first Chad Barr Law thing that we did a long time ago. Okay, first question comes from Selena, and she's got a couple of questions, which is awesome. UCF Selena, at UCF Selena on Twitter. You mentioned last week the Twins would be like mirrors. Can you elaborate more on the benefits, if there are any, and downfalls of having twins in the backfield playing similarly? I would have assumed that it would be easier for the opposition to game plan for two similar players. Yeah, actually, now that you say it like that, it is interesting. I think a little bit more about that after I said that. It's interesting. I think a lot more about things that I say after people point things out that I say, because I don't listen to myself, especially when I'm talking. It just comes,
Neither does anybody else, Andrew.
Yeah, I know. It just comes right off the cuff, though, and that's what I personally think is the best thing about me. It's you're going to get my true opinion every time. Anyway. There can be advantages, I think, if they're very athletically similar. If it's better than having one player that's better than the other one. If they're that similar, if they're athletically mirrored, which their DNA, they're twins, they're identical twins. One of them is a little bit bigger though, as far as like weight. Which I think with the Shaquem and Shaquille, it was that way a little bit as well. But I think the advantages is literally their DNA is the same and their athleticism should be. They train together. They know each other. They can work very well together. I think that would be an advantage. Now, if one of them is better than the other and they aren't similar, that could be a bad thing. The other thing would be, I guess, if you have one corner on one side of the field that is substantially good, and then you could use those guys in tandem together, subbing in and out for each other to keep them fresh. That could kind of be cool as well. Disadvantages, if they're not good, which I don't think that's, the deal. Or they have some kind of a trait. Yeah, I never thought about the other team scheming, kind of scheming for the same guy. I'm sure they have different traits as far as how they play. I've never seen them play. I'd like to get out there and see them. Selena, you're a Seminole school person, Seminole County. You should go out there and watch them play if you haven't been to a Seminoles game yet. Maybe I'll see you out there. So, Roger, I don't know if you can think of anything more on that. It is interesting, though, when you start thinking about that, though.
Yeah, I would have never thought of that question, ever. So, hats off. For me, I think, yes, there are physical attributes you can game plan for that. But other than that, each player is going to be a little bit different. They may pick up a defense better than the other, or better at some technique, or what have you. We don't know if their reaction times are exactly the same. But at the end of the day, to me, I think that they physically are the same. Yes, you can game plan that, but you could have someone the exact same stature and build on the other side of the field and happen to be someone else, and there's not really much difference. I'm not going to assume that they play the same or have the same reactions or the same techniques or skills or put as much time in as the other does. There may be some differences there. At the end of the day, I'm just happy we got them because they're big time recruits.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Absolutely. I'm thinking more and more about this now. Actually.
Oh gosh, you've got him going into a wormhole, folks.
No, it's good. I just, it's a very good question. Second question from Selena. Was Gus only able to buy those jerseys for the players because of the NIL rule? I love that he did that for the kids, but wouldn't that have been a violation a year ago? Either way, such a great guy for doing that for his team. Absolutely true. Absolutely awesome that he did that. And that is what you want your head coach to be, is a guy like that obviously cares about the players and is just a good dude. And Gus is that. I don't know about that with the NIL rule or whatever. I'm sure that there's a way, though, that they know how to make that a donation or something, that he could do that. Or the school could do it somehow. He may have paid the check, but through the school or something like that. I'm sure there's something, though, that a coach can spend some of his own personal money on the team. I would assume it's probably a donation. I don't know that, but I don't know. Who knows?
I mean, it's not like they're recruits, right? So it's not like he bought these for recruits that were coming on a recruiting visit. So to me, I would guess that would be something that would be okay because they're providing a benefit to everyone and it's not targeted at recruits. So the value is the other part about this, right? Because he just bought the jerseys. He didn't buy the whole outfit. So there are certain value limitations that they have built in there that they can spend on a player based on whatever. It's not really considered compensation, I wouldn't think. They retire jerseys every single year that a senior goes through. They get their own jersey that has a specific value, game worn, that has a specific value as well. So I'd imagine it'd be no different than if a player was getting their jersey framed and handed to them at the 50-yard line during senior night.
Right, yeah. So I'm sure that the lawyers have it all figured out. Thank goodness, though, that they do. Awesome questions. Thank you very much, Selena. UCF Zach. Zach Ebels, maybe? Zebbles. I think it's Zebbles. Zeebbels. Zeebles at Zeebles UCF. A little bit more than halfway through the season, what do you guys see as this team's best strength and worst weaknesses? How long do you think it will take Gus to get us to a conference championship? Wow. That's a solid question as well. Well, I think that, wow. The thing is doing these things kind of live like this. It's hard sometimes. You have to think sometimes about these questions, and I'm not thinking very good.
Do you want me to take the lead first?
No. I'll get it.
Okay.
I guess the strength. I would think the strength would be obviously the running back position, the ground game, from Bowser or Johnny or whoever else is back there. The running game has been incredible for us this year, especially when Bowser is healthy. And the offensive line, I think, would be a strength as well. Mikey Keene, I think, can be a strength. I don't know if he's a strength yet, and I think our defensive against the run as well, run game on both sides of the ball is what I'm going to say are our strengths. Weakness, I would say probably, I still think there's some defensive back weakness. Maybe a little bit of linebacker weakness, and obviously a little bit of the passing game since we have a freshman quarterback. But that's, just because he's a freshman, it's not saying anything bad about him or whatever. I just think that anytime you're a freshman quarterback and you get thrown in, starting a game on the road, and then the next, week or two you have to play against number 2 in the country, number 3 at the time, I think they were. It's just a hard deal. It's a hard deal to be a freshman anyway, but to be thrown in there. So I think that, the passing game in general, with the limited number of wide receivers and the injuries and stuff, I would think that would probably be our biggest weakness. It's always been a strength, but this year I believe it's a weakness. Roger, go ahead.
Okay. We've been all over the place now. I don't know whether to take this in the context of the current team that's playing or who we have on the roster, because we have folks that are out, right?
I think it's current.
Of folks are out.
I think it's currently where we stand right now.
Okay, so currently where we stand right now, I would say the biggest weakness, this is going to be a cop-out, but I think our special teams, to be honest, and they put us in a bad position a few times. But other than that, if I'm being real about it, I'm probably going to say our linebacker position is probably our weakness, because we have no depth, and we actually lost another one of our linebackers. I don't know for how long. Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste went out last game as well. So that would be my big concern. As far as what Gus needs to build for the future, our biggest strength, I forgot about that. Our biggest strength, I would agree, right now on this team is the running game. We can run at will with Bowser and Richardson and O'Keefe, because O'Keefe is helping us stretch the field. As far as our what Gus needs to build on.
We haven't started. We haven't gone there yet. I was going to go there next. We were going to.
Okay, those are the two.
Yeah,
those are the two for me.
Two-part thing. The other question, there was two questions there technically. How long do you think it will take Gus to get us to a conference championship? Well, with Cincinnati, currently the way that they're playing, we really have to do something to get to their level. Unfortunately, we're not at their level. Who knows, though, what would have happened without the injuries. I really thought we had a good chance going into that game with our full team as it started in the beginning. So when we were talking about all this at the beginning of the season, before people started getting hurt, before the Louisville massacre, basically, where everyone got hurt, that's what I'm going to call it from now on, by the way, the Louisville massacre. I think that we really would have had a good chance against Cincinnati. I don't think that it would have been anything like it was. So, and in fact, I picked us to win that game at the beginning of the season, and obviously, just because I'm a super homer, I picked us winning that game. When we played it too, but obviously, I was wrong on that one. I think. It depends on what happens, I guess, with Cincinnati, to be honest with you. I think if a lot of the same parts come back and everything next year, you never know. The following year, for sure, I would think, Gus would have, some things built up, have more of his players in there. And then the following year after that, though, we go to the Big 12. And I don't know how easy or how hard it's going to be to win the Big 12 championship the first few years. We may go in there and burn the place down, or we could go in there and not do very well the first couple of years. You never know. But I think Gus, can build a team. I think our recruiting's even going to get better because of the whole Power 5 thing coming down the line. We're going to start getting recruits that we've never gotten before. You already see our class being up in the 40s instead of, in the 70s and 80s. So I don't think it's very long, to be honest with you. Hopefully we can get one more American championship before we're done here. Otherwise, I think it's going to take a couple of years in the Big 12, personally.
Well, so a couple things. Cincinnati's losing a metric ton of seniors next year.
It doesn't mean that they don't have good backups, though.
I'm not saying they don't, but there is something to be said for experience. My biggest concern as far as conference championship, obviously we're not going to win one this year. For next season is our own line. We have a lot of bodies to replace there, and then there's a lot of transfers that we're having to replace as well. So remember, we're losing Big Cat. We're losing Bowser. We're losing Kalia Davis. We're losing
not totally. He may have a chance to come back, actually.
He has a chance to come back, but I get his newsletter that he sends out. If you guys don't know this, if you sign up for his thing, he sends out this newsletter that he writes every week after every game. And even if he's, obviously he hasn't been playing, he did not sound like he was going to be coming back. Okay. Based on what he's written. Now, he could change his mind.
Pure speculation.
Like I said, it didn't sound like.
Okay.
Just based on what he's writing. I encourage you guys to read it. If not, you're at least supporting a fellow Knight.
What did he say that makes you think that? Specifically, what did he say, or something what did he say that makes you think that he's not coming back?
He was talking about whether he was going to come back and make the decision on whether he was going to play football again, and he was talking about not that it was a lot of work that went into that, especially after coming back from the injury before, and that he was really focused on other things at the moment. One of the things he does Twitch and a few other things in there. So just different pieces that he's saying in his newsletter. And I don't want to give too much of it away because, it's his thing and he gets advertising revenue off of that. So I'd much rather you guys go visit and actually read what he wrote. But I just didn't get the sense that this person had made a decision that they were going to come back. It sounded like to me that it was trending the other way.
Okay.
But again, it's a long way away from next season, so a lot of things can change. That being said, I'm still concerned about the defensive line because we do lose, some transfers from there. And then we don't know what we have in the backups on the linebacking core. I mean, we had some good folks that we recruited, but we haven't seen them play. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Those are my big concerns for next year. Obviously, I'm assuming Dylan's going to be back. I think we've got a pretty good stable of running backs back there, even after Bowser leaves. I mean, I don't know if they're going to be Bowser because he's just a special back if you watch him run. But I do think we have lots of folks that we can lean on that will grow into the position. Now, as to the question, when can we when do we expect the next championship? I'm thinking it wouldn't be our next opportunity would not be next year. It would be the year following, just simply because I don't know how well we're going to fill in the holes on the offensive line.
Okay. Is that it?
Yep.
Okay. So your answer was a couple of years from both of us.
Yes.
In a roundabout way. Kalia Davis didn't play, that year of the COVID year as well. So I think he has another year. I think the guy's going to come back, personally. I think it would be crazy if he didn't. In my opinion, you see these people leaving a lot of times. Either he's definitely not going to make the money that he needs to make on Twitch. I can guarantee that. Maybe we'll have him on sometime after this to talk about that or whatever. But dude could play in the NFL. He needs another season in college football to play in the NFL, though, I believe. I don't think Twitch is... You've said that a couple of times, Roger, and I know that he does the Twitch thing. I know he plays games on Twitch. That does not make the same salary as playing in the NFL, and I think this guy wants to play in the NFL. So I think that's crazy, personally. Anyway, Mark Johnson... these names, man. It's at M. John... I don't even know what this is. It's M. Jonna de Johnson. It's at MJOHNADJ. Maybe it's adjuster.
Johansson?
No, it's Johnson. I don't know. It's a funky name.
We tried, folks.
Yeah, Mark Johnson on Twitter.
This is part of the entertainment.
You can look on the thread if you want to see how to spell this Twitter handle. These Twitter handles are awesome, though. If and when UCF gets enough wins for a bowl berth, I think that we will, DG should be able to play. Do you have DG play or let Mikey Keene be the starter since he played the majority of the snaps? Gus was asked today, actually, about DG. And he was asked kind of a timeline for DG, and he said, he's getting better. We'll know more like next week, probably. I think is what he said, Thursday. And then he was asked, do you expect him to come back? Are you still expecting him to come back this year? And Gus said yes. Gus said, that's the expectation, I believe was the quote, or something like that. He wants to, and Gus, and obviously the staff wants him to, is what it sounds like. So, DG should come back immediately when he's better. I think that's the way that it works. Mikey Keene's done a great job, but it's his job to be the backup, in my opinion. He's not burning down the barn, and just, playing like with his hair on fire. He's not doing things that DG was not. He still doesn't have the experience. This is still DG's team. So absolutely he comes back if we have the chance to have him back this year. If he's physically able to do it, absolutely he comes back. And absolutely he's the starter on day one that he comes back, in my opinion. And I think that any football coach would do that.
Yeah. Okay. So, number one, I believe that after this game this week will be bowl eligible. So, as far as DG coming back, if DG wants to come back, DG will be the starter, provided he shows in practice that he can throw the ball and do what he needs to do, which if there's any chance of him coming back, I do think that will happen. He's already tossing the ball per se. He's not fully into his throwing motion. And as we've said, it's 6 to 8 weeks minimum for this type of injury. And if there's an opportunity for him to come back, he will come back. How many? He played what? 2 games? So, or 3 games? 3 games. Yeah. So he's still got at least one more game for a medical redshirt. If we go to a bowl game, I mean, look, it's possible for us to still win 9 games. I mean, it'd be tough because we play SMU and they're going to be a tough battle, but it's possible for us to win 9 games if we go to a bowl game and get to a 10-win season with DG at the helm. I think that'd be a pretty solid season, especially given everything that we've dealt with and the close loss at Louisville. So I think you bring him back. When it comes to bowl games, he wants to win the season. And if Dylan's healthy, he and this is nothing on Mikey Keene because he's getting better week after week. But DG, you always go with your hottest hand, and that's going to be DG 100% of the time.
Okay. This next one is from hashtag 10 Ohana. It's free sport at freesporttravel.com, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, dude, I looked at that previous one and I couldn't figure it out either. So it's not just you on that one.
I don't know.
Actually, if you could reply to your tweet and tell us what the heck phonetically you're going for with that one, because I'm
awesome.
Genuinely curious now.
Thank you, though. Some new names in here, so thank you, Mark Johnson. I don't think that you've asked a question before, so that's awesome. This next one, like I said, hashtag 10 Hana and at Free Sport Travel. Yeah, I'd like to know what this hashtag's about too. I mean, not hashtag, but the handle name. And he's got an airplane as his picture, so it's awesome. With Johnson, with Houston.
Houston Johnson, MJ.
I was still thinking of, yeah, exactly. That's still what I was thinking about. That's hilarious. With Houston defeating SMU last week, an appearance in the conference championship game seems very unlikely now. For us, I guess I would think so. How does coach keep the senior players motivated when the end goal is no longer possible? Well, I mean, yeah, okay. So, yeah, okay. I forgot that we don't have divisions anymore in the American. It's just the 2 best teams. And yeah, we're not there. We're not going to be there. We're not going to be in the American Championship this year. It's just not going to happen.
And in a couple of years, we won't be in it either because we'll be in the Big 12. Sorry.
Exactly, yeah. I think that's without question, though. You know, I would think that the way that the coach or any coach keeps his upperclassmen or senior players motivated is for their future. Finishing hard and fast for your team, finishing the best that you can for your team, playing for your team, and looking at your future, no matter what that is. If that is pro football, if that's business, if it's some other kind of job, you always want to finish everything and do your best, period. And play for your brothers that are your football team members. Most football team members, I've never been good at this, but most of those people keep in contact with each other for a very long time, and they're lifelong brothers. For me, it just wasn't like that. But I would think that would be one way to do it, or those ways, that's just what I'm thinking, what I said there. So, I mean, I don't know how Gus does that, but that's how I would do it. Just looking towards your future, and the way you finish this season is the start to your future.
So for me, I kind of go along the same lines. I mean, there's two motivations there. One is purely intrinsic in the sense that if you do want to try out for an NFL team or anything like that, you want to put your best foot forward, right? And then extrinsic, when it comes to your team, with the seniors, a lot of these guys, other than the transfers, have been together with these players for 3 years at least, some of them 4. So at the end of the day, having pride in it being your last game and your last season, having pride in playing for and with the folks that have gone through all of this with you, I would think that there's some value in that as well. So I know for me, when I played my last football game, I wanted to do the best that I possibly could, especially my last season, just simply because I knew I wouldn't have another opportunity to do it. So I was out there, trying to hit everybody, decleat everyone I possibly could. I played with a little more reckless abandon per se. I still stayed within my responsibilities, but I went out of my way and I gave a little extra every time I hit the field. So I think there's both extrinsic and intrinsic motivation there, and I'm not sure how much of that is Gus and how much is just those individuals that are playing.
Alrighty. Brian W. Peterson, at Brian W. Peterson, that's easy. Thoughts on Mikey Keene's performance on Saturday? Is he improving dramatically, or was it only Temple? I personally think...
Only Temple.
Well, I think it's both, to be honest with you. Temple's horrible, I think. Their defense is horrible. Their offense is pretty horrible as well, as you saw. Their backups are probably better than their starters, to be honest with you. They're the ones that scored. So, I think Mikey Keene has, excelled. His performances are definitely getting better. I think that, obviously, we all wanted to see Coach Malzahn open the offense up a little bit and make the big plays and throw downfield and all that stuff. And Mikey Keene did that this week. It just happened to be against Temple. I think that it was going to happen whoever we were playing at this particular time. Temple just happened to be the one that was on the slate that week, and yeah, they're pretty horrible. But I think Mikey Keene has definitely showed improvement. Still throwing the interceptions, and Gus today actually talked about that as well. Throwing the interceptions, he's had at least one interception per game, and Coach was basically laughing about it. Yeah, he threw that one right to him, to the guy this week, and then the one that got that we got back, obviously was good on the running back and the wide receiver back there to get the ball back. Obviously was awesome. So. But yeah, he's definitely showing improvement. I think anytime you're a freshman quarterback and you're on your 5th game, I mean, you have to show some kind of improvement, or you probably shouldn't be out there. And he's definitely showing improvement. I just hope that he gets those interceptions taken care of. So that's my answer to that question.
So for me, yes, I think Temple's defense was pretty terrible, but when we looked at them last week, if you'll remember, they were really bad against the run game. They weren't, I think they were giving up 135 or 150 yards or something like that a game. So Mikey Keene exceeded that. I don't think that was passing. So I don't think that was anything. I don't think that was necessarily bad on the Temple defense. I think that was more Mikey being able to sling the rock and his receivers actually catching the ball. And, the fact that we were using the tight end to break up the middle of the field a little bit. And, I think he played a whole heck of a lot better. He's an 18-year-old kid who's a true freshman quarterback, and he got thrown into the fire, and he's learning on the fly. He hasn't even got a full season to run.
Graduated early, by the way, and should still be playing his senior season of high school football, by the way.
Exactly.
So
and then he plays the number 5 at the time team in the country.
It's hard to remember that, I know, but people need to remember that he is very young compared to like even Mackenzie and DG when they came in. So you're good.
So to me,
sorry.
No, that's okay. So to me, I think it's more a statement of Mikey Keene playing better. I mean, that double pump move that he had on that pass. He did throw one more into double coverage, but by and large, he's being smarter with the football. He's moving around the pocket a little bit better. And he's got some support, right? So we got Bowser back, and Bowser can take the focus of the defense, whereas before our running game wasn't as good or as strong. He couldn't rely on it as much, so they key in on him. So he was constantly under pressure. And I think this has helped him a little bit. So again, it's growth. That's what I would term it.
Absolutely. Okay, and from our good friend Jessica, haven't heard from Jessica in a while. Jessica Shelton at UCF Nation 2004. That one was easy. She says she's late asking the question, and that we could answer it next week, but actually she wasn't late because we had just started right as she put in her question, so we're going to do it this week. And it's a basketball question, and I, really seriously, this year, for some reason, to me, basketball is coming on really, really, really early. It kind of blows me away that it's coming this fast. So, I don't know. It just seems early to me. Anyway, you think men's basketball team with all the returners make it to postseason, either to the NIT or the NCAA tournament? I think this year is one of our best chances to do that. We have a lot of guys coming back and a lot of guys that were really good coming back. In fact, I don't know if you know this, but Wednesday, November 10th is the first UCF basketball game, which is absolutely crazy. That's early. To me, does it always start this early, or is it just me? Roger?
It
just seems like it's super early this year. I don't know. The summer and football season has just been a whirlwind, gone really fast this year for me.
Well, I don't think that there's been as much juice around the basketball team yet. I don't think that's fully the messaging hasn't fully gotten spun up. But for me, I will say that I do think that the basketball team, for me, the expectation is an NCAA tournament bid. I mean, they're good enough. They have the talent. We have enough people coming back that have now played together that I expect us. I mean, we played down the stretch. We played really, really well. And early on we did too. Remember, we beat Auburn last year and a bunch of other folks. And, I expect this team to be a tournament team. I mean, we're in a tough conference. Don't get me wrong. Between Houston, SMU, and Memphis, they're all going to be contenders again this year for the conference championship. But our RPI should be high enough with those 4 teams, plus Wichita State is expected to come back again. I would expect our RPI to be high enough that we would, at the very least, be a bubble team. But if they play up to their potential, I think my expectation, no matter what, is an NCAA bid, whether they be a bubble team or whether they get a solid seeding.
Okay.
One way or the other, I think.
Exactly what he said, because he jumped me and answered the question first. I just asked you if you thought it was coming early, and then you just went off. So that's cool. Yeah, whatever he said. Our schedule is really good this year with UCF basketball. In fact, before January, going into January, I guess till the first of the year, on our schedule, we have people that are in, or teams that are in the top 25, a lot of them. Auburn, we play again this year. They're number 22 at this time. Florida State, we play again. They're number 20. We play Michigan at UCF, and they're number 6 right now. We play, obviously, Memphis, Houston. Memphis is 12. Houston's 15. So we definitely have teams in there that are good and will make our schedule. If we can beat a few of those teams, we'll make our body of work be pretty solid. I mean, I think in the American anyway, your body of work is pretty solid because the American's a pretty good basketball conference in itself, just because of the 2, sometimes 3, or even 4 ranked teams in there. So, I expect some kind of postseason. I think this year is one of the best chances that we have. It's going to get a lot more special. Basketball is going to really have to step it up in the next 5 years, I would say, going to the Big 12. It's a whole nother ball game, literally, in the Big 12. Lots and lots of good basketball going on there. So it's a completely different animal. And I think that the recruiting will step up, and I think Johnny Dawkins is probably a really good guy to go there to lead us to the Big 12 in basketball. He just, like I said, really has to step up the recruiting, but it should really happen. Fortunately, I guess that we won't have to be dealing with Penny Hardaway recruiting the entire conference away anymore, going into the Big 12. So that'll be good. But then you have to deal with the Kansases and the Baylors, Oklahoma State, Iowa State. There's a lot of good basketball there. So it's going to be interesting for basketball. I always thought that football could pretty easily slide through into the Big 12. I think basketball is the biggest step, the step up in competition. But we'll see. We're playing guys in the, teams in the top 25 this year, quite a few of them. So we shall see where we stand, I think. Alrighty, thank you for all your questions. We're going to take a break, and we'll be right back and get talking about this football game.
Hey, this is Travis Dever, Kai's Real Estate, the Dever team, New Smyrna Beach. Your source for real estate and everything else, New Smyrna Beach. Proud sponsor of Knightline. Call me anytime at 386-690-1636. That's 386-690-1636. Let me show you my hometown, New Smyrna Beach, UCF's favorite beach. Go Knights and charge on.
An auto accident can change your life forever. At Chad Barr Law, we are raising the bar on what to expect from your personal injury attorney. Hi, I'm Chad Barr, and I want you to know that our entire team is dedicated to providing you with the representation you deserve in your greatest time of need. If you or a loved one have been injured in an auto accident, call 407-599-9036 for a free consultation or visit chadbarlaw.com. At Chad Barr Law, our clients come to us in need and leave as family. Offices, Altamont Springs.
Looking for more out of your Porsche? Look no further than Flat6Motorsports.com. They have the widest selection of aftermarket Porsche parts anywhere in the world. With over 85 product lines and in-depth expertise, Flat6Motorsports.com is your one-stop shop for any Porsche performance needs. Whether you're shopping for intakes, exhausts, suspension, or tuning, they have you covered. Flat6Motorsports.com is the premier Porsche aftermarket specialist. Check them out at Flat6Motorsports.com. Alrighty, back talking about UCF football. I think we probably need to discuss this game a little bit. It was awesome, obviously 49-7. Really turned it on in the third quarter with 21 points. Mikey Keene, 15 of 21, 229 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 interception. By far his best performance.
Yeah, and it was an ESPN Plus game, but we had Leger Douzable on the call, which was nice, a UCF alum. Beautiful day in front of 19,500 or so fans is what was announced. Not sure if that's the right number, but it was a great game for UCF and Mikey Keene specifically. He really stepped into his role because Gus allowed him to throw the football a little bit. We've seen nothing but short passes from him by and large. There's been a few longer ones. I mean, last game we had 4 drops that could have pushed him over 200 yards. But this game he did a good job. He settled in and except for one drop, his receivers came through for him. So I was just genuinely happy for him in the sense that his team supported his passing, because he he deserves it, and he's a freshman, and having these guys out here dropping balls all the time certainly aren't helping his numbers any.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here's what Coach had to say after the game.
Just real excited for our team. I think we had a complete game. We may have played our best game of the season. We've been really talking to our guys, about the second part of the season. We're 1-0 last week. We've had trouble on the road. Our guys really came out, played very good defensively, maybe our best defensive effort. Maybe our best, complete game offensively. We were able to hit some explosive pass plays. We threw it deep. We mixed in the run. Mikey, you can see he's growing. And I thought he had a really good day today, and overall our special teams played well. And, we talked about getting better. There's not a lot of teams in college football that actually improve the second half of the season. That's our challenge, and today it was the right step, in the right direction.
All right, Mikey Keene definitely looked more comfortable out there, and here's what Mikey Keene had to say about that.
I do feel comfortable. Honestly, it's just the preparation during the week, how I approach everything. Against Navy, I really didn't know how to approach the game. I had to have a lot of help from Dylan, the coaches, and things like that. But now I'm starting to get more comfortable on my own, understand what needs to happen, get prepared, and be able to execute as best as we can on a Saturday.
All right, nice to be able to hear from Mikey Keene after a game. We haven't really heard too much from him. We've heard from him during the week a couple of times, but I don't know how many times we've actually heard him talk after the game. I think they were kind of waiting for him to really have that great game to be able to talk like that. Mikey Keene also said how important it was to be able to, throw the long ball and to do the big plays to get everything going.
I mean, it's always going to be a game changer for an offense. Just getting an explosive play like that, whether it be breaking off a long run or throwing a long pass for a touchdown, it just opens up the playbook. Honestly, keeps the defense on their toes. So being able to execute that today was huge for us and led to some explosive plays and a few touchdowns too.
So yeah, he's not totally used to talking to the media yet. I think it's pretty funny. He acts very nervous up there. So it's good to hear from him, though.
If I was his age, I'd be nervous, too. I mean, I remember what I was like at 18.
Absolutely.
And you've got national TV and everybody else looking at you, not to mention, he knows that the ESPN guys are out there recording for the series that they're doing on us right now. So if I was him, I'd be nervous as all get out. I think he's acquitted himself fairly well for a wet behind the ears 18-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely. I think with all the cameras around as well, just like you were talking about with the TV show and all that stuff, that has to be a little crazy, especially with, them miking certain players up and stuff like that. In a couple of them, you've kind of seen people walk away from the people that they knew that had the mic on or whatever. So I've always thought that would be kind of weird in that situation. Gus thought that this was a very important win, though, especially for Mikey Keene.
Anytime you get a victory on the road in college football and you're a freshman, I think it does nothing but give you confidence. And you can see him growing. He's starting to really take control of the offense. He threw some really good deep balls and, 5 touchdown passes. That's really tough to do. So he's growing, real proud of him. He's growing, and each week, and the way he practiced, it didn't surprise me. We hit some of those deep shots. He practiced really well this week. He threw it really well. The volume of reps, in practice, he's starting to feel more comfortable with the big picture. There's nothing like experience, and I think the game's starting to slow down for him a little bit. That was a really good pass to Brandon down there, right before half. I think that was a really big touchdown to let us go up 21-0, I think, right there half, and then we got the ball coming out. And so he's growing, and I think he's playing pretty well.
All right, it wasn't all about Mikey Keene, though. There were definitely other players out there and other things going on. Isaiah Bowser had a heck of a game.
Yeah, Yeah, he had 89 yards on 19 carries, so less carries, obviously, than last week, but 4.68 per carry. I mean, think about it this way, guys. You only need 3 downs of Isaiah Bowser carrying the rock, and you've got a first down.
Yeah, absolutely. Average 4.7. I'm not sure if you said that. Johnny Richardson also had some carries, 8 carries for 42 yards, 5.2 average for him, his longest being 20. Joey Gatewood also had some carries in there, 6 for 41 yards. He actually averaged 6.7, the most out of all of them. So it's interesting, though, because somebody finally, Mikey Keene was up there, so they asked him, what is it? I think it was Jason Beatty that asked him. From the Orlando Sentinel now, was on 24/7 Sports for a long time. He asked him, what's it like? Does it slow your momentum down when Joey Gatewood comes in to spell you?
Just whatever we can do to help benefit the team. Joey brings a lot of different problems for our defense, so when he comes in, I have no problems with that. Keeps the defense honest, keeps them on their toes, and Joey makes a lot of explosive plays happen. He's a great athlete. He can throw the ball very well, so when he comes in, there's no issues, just whatever helps the team be in a position to win.
I think Mikey Keene handled that very well because that was kind of putting somebody on the spot asking that question. I kind of gasped when I heard him ask the question in the press conference. So good question. It's what everybody wanted to know. It's what everybody's talking about. But I think Mikey handled it extremely well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, even if he thought that, that's not a great decision, he was smart enough to know you don't question what the coach is doing in front of everybody else. So whatever the reason is. So he handled that well. And I'm sure Gatewood appreciated it too. And I'm sure Gus, he doesn't allow as many players to have media availability as we've enjoyed in the past. So I'm sure that earned him some points to get in front of the mic again if he has the opportunity, because you never know what somebody's going to say when they get out there. So he handled that extremely well. And as to Gatewood, I mean, he had some solid runs there. This is the kind of stuff we were expecting from him out of the packages. I think one thing that's helping is when they have him and Isaiah Bowser back there in the backfield, and he's actually handing the ball off to Bowser. So it's not only Gatewood that they're keying in on. In the past, when it was him and Johnny Richardson, they were keying in on him, and he kept the ball an awful lot. So I think having those two back there as running threats, I think that helps take some of the pressure off of either Gatewood or Bowser, and they've been pretty successful with it lately.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind at all when Gatewood comes in there. I would like to see, and I know that he doesn't throw it that great, and that's obviously why they're not letting him throw it, but I'd like to see him throw it a little bit, especially when he's in there in garbage time. He made one attempt, and it didn't get caught this week. So me personally, I would just like to see, a little bit of what he has. He's obviously made it this far as a quarterback in college football. Yes, he's been on 3 different teams. Yes, he's really every time lost the starting job or never been able to win it. But I mean, he's an athletic specimen. He's a big dude. He's a prototypical NFL-sized quarterback. So I'd just like to see him sling it a little bit, just to see what we got there. He's got a couple years left, I think, as well. At least 1 year left. So,
yeah, I don't know if Gus is maybe just trying to throw the defense off, so they aren't crowding the box all the time. I don't know, or if he's just spelling Mike Keene a little bit so he can see things from the sideline or set up the next set of plays and provide some extra coaching. But I agree with you. I mean, you don't always want to have someone back there who's going to always run the ball, because then they're just going to
they're going to key on it every time.
Yeah. So why not? Why not?
Just going to run it or hand it off. At least make some short throws or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like slip the tight end into the flat, or if they're, or into the middle of the field, and just a quick 10-yard pass or a pop pass or something like that. Just to break it up a little bit and keep people from rushing.
Speaking of tight ends, Alec, holler if you hear me. Man, what a game that he had. Actually, I should have pulled some of the sound because he was on the media availability today. The first time I think anybody had ever really talked to him. And I should have done that. I apologize for not. But he had a heck of a game. The 2 touchdowns, I don't know how many yards it was. 4 catches for 87 yards. 2 touchdowns, the longest being 34 yards after the catch, 38 for him. So he did a very good job, especially that third down that where he straddled the sideline. Definitely showed a lot of athleticism doing that.
Yeah, I mean, you saw him just like stop right before, then turn around and then make a big play. He made a guy miss on an angle, and just watching him play and watching a tight end catch the ball for once this season, it was exciting. He had a few drops early on in the season, but just having that pressure release valve for Mikey Keene too. To just go straight in the middle of the field, or if we're on a short yardage situation, and to get that ball out of there pretty quickly. He did a great job. He ran well. He protected the football. He caught the ball when he needed to, and he was a little fleet feet when he was on that sideline. I was very impressed by that.
Wasn't he the one that caught that very first touchdown of the season? I think that he was against Boise. The very first one, because he has.
He did. He did. I believe you're right.
He's actually 4th in receiving so far this year, which is not big numbers by any of these guys except Ryan O'Keefe, Brandon Johnson, I guess, but they're not big numbers anyway. The cumulative stats here that I have shows Ryan O'Keefe ahead with 47 catches, 488 yards, averaging 10.38 per yard or per catch, though, which is a lot. Brandon Johnson actually averages a little bit more, and then Jalen Robinson, when he played, obviously averaged even more. But Brandon Johnson's second with 27 catches, but he's got 8 touchdowns. Jalen Robinson, obviously, when he was in there for 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, he was averaging 19 and a half yards. And there is some speculation because of what Coach said this afternoon that Jalen Robinson may be available. They will see how he practices the rest of the week, but he thinks that his chances are a lot higher this week for him to come back. So that would be huge against Tulane coming up.
Yeah. We need another receiving threat to be able to stretch the field. I mean, that's there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Right now, Ryan O'Keefe's really the only one that has successfully done that. He's just a quality receiver. A lot of those drops that you saw happen last week, he wouldn't do that. He's a highly talented receiver. He can stretch the field. He's fast. He's got good technique. He's got double moves that he can do. We'd be very, very happy to have him. I know I will be very, very happy to have him, just simply so that we have some more targets that maybe can get loose, because the receiver depth after O'Keefe and maybe Brandon Johnson, we saw Craig Myers out there, which was interesting, is just not that deep. So I'm hoping he comes back, and I hope he has a lot of success.
Yeah, a lot of young guys back there that, Jordan Johnson, remember how we thought that he was going to be something coming from Notre Dame this year? Mm-hmm. Haven't hardly seen him at all. Like, I think we saw him a couple plays in garbage time this week. So, he doesn't have any yards. He's not caught one ball. I'm looking at the cumulative stats here. Brandon Johnson definitely, and Ryan O'Keefe. Brandon Johnson has, like I said, 8 touchdowns compared to O'Keefe's 4 receiving touchdowns. So it would be really nice to have Jalen Robinson back, and hopefully that's what happens. I did want to play this one last clip here. This is Mikey Keene talking about Alec Holler.
I mean, just that dive in the end zone just speaks what Alec is really all about. I mean, he's putting everything on the line for this team. It's just a known fact that being a walk-on, being put on scholarship, it was not a mistake, or there's not like there wasn't anything put behind that. I mean, he works for everything that he gets, and he's one of the hardest workers on this team, and I'm just so happy for him because all that hard work finally starting to pay off with a few touchdowns and things like that, but he's always in the trenches blocking his butt off for our guys, so he's one of those guys where you want him to be on your team, so I'm so happy for Alec.
Alrighty, definitely, I think one of the stars of the game, no question, with the performance that he put on. I think he definitely solidified himself as the go-to tight end for us. I wish there were more back there. I have no idea what's happened to Jake Hescock. It's really strange where he is like non-existent this year. I don't understand that whatsoever. Go ahead.
He's blocking, and that's about it. I mean, that's all he's doing is blocking.
It's really strange. I don't understand it personally. You never know, though, what's going on behind the scenes. He could be injured in some way or something, or who knows what's going on. Want to kind of go on to the defensive side of the ball now. They played an incredible game, even though it was against Temple. I think that they have really turned a page the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I mean, ECU was also a good one. We've been talking about the red zone defense. Not quite as many turnovers, etc. We didn't get an interception this game, but we did get 3 fumbles recovered, which was exciting. We're again seeing more and more of that man. Very, very happy with the defensive backs and how they seem to be maturing. Justin Hodges. Again, that's a name, we keep calling out because he's just doing a really, really good job. The defensive backs are using the boundaries better. They're communicating better, and that's what that's allowing us to do is send more folks into blitz. And, you're seeing the pressures, you're seeing sacks. Earlier on in the year, we were like, where are all the sacks? We got 4 sacks this game. So 7 tackles for a loss, 2 QB hurries, and 4 passes defended, which is really, really solid. In fact, we had a Tremont Morris Brash sighting where in one series he effectively shut down that series because he had that sack, and then he went through and he blocked, which, again, I was thoroughly impressed. 1, his technique was proper. He had both hands together when he jumped and blocked the pass. And 2, he had some ups to get on that pass. So it's exciting to see these guys get it. I love watching Big Cat. He had another 1.5 sacks this game, and watching them get after the quarterback.
Absolutely, yeah. I hope that Tremont Morris Brash can get everything off the field behind him and really maybe come on the rest of the season and do something special because he's a special player. We need him out there. I believe that he would be out there a lot more if the situation would not have happened, outside of the football field. So I hate to see, it happen for him like that, but hopefully he'll get in there a lot more. Big Cat Bryant now is up to 4.5 sacks. Looking at the cumulative stats, Josh Salazar is second there with 3 sacks. Bryson Armstrong still leads with total tackles, 66 total tackles. Tatum Bethune, 55. Quadric Bullard, 52. Devad Wilson, 41. Jeremiah Jean Baptiste, 37. And then Big Cat Bryant down there with 31 tackles. So those guys are definitely doing better. Just taking a look at some of these cumulative stats so far, I like to kind of look at it at this time of the year. On the fumble situation, Quadric Bullard has 3 that he has recovered. Josh Salazar 2, Anthony Maltavo 1, and Keenan Hester 1 as well. So, and then Brandon Johnson 1 as an offensive player after that one this week where he got the ball back from the interception, which was kind of cool. That was a weird situation, though. You don't hardly ever see that happen. 2 turnovers that quickly.
Yeah, and we saw 2 deflections get caught by our guys too. That was really, really, really strange. I think it's just making up for the rest of the season and our terrible luck when it came to that. But yeah, I mean, listen, guys, these guys, this defense to me is really gelling, and the fact that I still think the fact that we're not having to play as much zone, and we're playing more man-to-man, and we're trusting our defensive backs to play man is opening up our ability to get an extra body into the backfield, and it's wreaking havoc on quarterbacks.
Yeah, Dylan Lester with 2 of those interceptions, and then Tremont Morris-Brash has 1. Devontae Brown has 1, Jeremiah Jean-Baptiste, Devad Wilson, and Tatum Bethune all have the interceptions for us. So that's pretty cool. Definitely, doing good things back there. Starting to. The run defense, I think, even with missing the guys that we're missing up there, Ricky Barber was back this week, thank goodness. But with the guys that were missing up on the line there, definitely doing pretty good with against the run. I'll have to see what the stat is. Roger, if you want to talk about that, the rush defense just for a second while I find something I'm looking for here.
Yeah, I mean, the rush defense at the end of the day is what's causing a lot of the havoc that we're seeing. And again, guys, it's not just about them getting to the quarterback and getting a sack, right? It's getting them uncomfortable or having them throw off their back foot or on the move, because that's a lot harder to do, especially if you're throwing across the field, right? So you have to have some really, really big time arm strength to be able to do that. Third down percentage this week was 41% with Temple, so that was a little bit higher than last week. So we definitely want to work on that a little bit. But again, this defense only allowing 297 yards this week, which is again solid numbers. We had 428, but 297 yards for a defense and Division I football team. It doesn't matter who you're playing. That's pretty solid work. So very proud of them.
Where would you think that our rushing defense ranks in college football? Like, where would you think overall that, without looking at
Navy really screwed us is what I think, but I'm guessing
just off the top of your head. I'm not trying to make you look bad or anything like that.
No. I'm going to say somewhere around 25.
No, it's actually way lower than that, which kind of surprises me, actually. That's why I ask this, because we're 77th out of like 128 or whatever it is, which is kind of shocking. I thought that we were doing a little bit better than that. It looks like that we're doing better than that, but we are 77th. Wow.
Well, I'm going to guess. Did have a couple, how many yards did Navy have? Yes, like almost 400 yards?
And that's one of the things I think that throws that off for us. I think it throws it off for anybody who plays Navy at any time. And I think that didn't Cincinnati put up some rushing numbers on us that weren't very good either?
Yeah, they did. Nothing like Navy, but yeah, they absolutely did.
Yeah, 77th, believe it or not, there. Red zone defense, 44th. Which is not horrible. Passing yards allowed, 38th. Passes intercepted, 56th. Let's see. What's something that's really good? Fumbles recovered, 7th. We're actually 7th in college football for fumbles recovered. Team passing efficiency defense, 21st, which is a lot higher than I thought it would be.
So it sounds like our passing defense is much better. Obviously, it's a lot better than last year. That's all I'm going to say about that.
It looks skewed, though, when you actually look at the stats from what we think that we're seeing, though. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because the passing yards allowed being 38th, that's pretty good. And then sacks, that's sacks allowed. Scoring offense, no, we don't. We're talking about defense. Team passing efficiency, 21st. That's pretty good for the defense. Red zone defense, I think I already said that, 44th, which is not bad, really. It's Not bad at all. Completion percentage on offense, throwing 31st, which is pretty good. Believe it or not, with all those dropped passes that we talk about, still completion percentage 31st. Probably one of the highest things that we have as well. We have gone for it a lot on fourth down, and our fourth down conversion percentage, 18th in college football. So
wow.
Rushing offense 25th, sacks allowed 25th, scoring offense 25th, which we're used to being a lot higher than that. In the past years.
But that's still higher than I would have guessed on scoring offense. But we're still hovering around 36, 38 points a game.
Yeah. Team passing efficiency, 43rd for offense. Let's see here. Total offense, 51st. Total defense, 54th. Turnover margin, 26th. Turnovers gained, 16th. Turnovers lost, 62nd. And winning percentage, 37th. So
if you can win the turnover, the battle of the turnovers, which we've been doing, that gets you more opportunities to score, and that's certainly been helping us this season. I did look up the yards for Navy, 350 yards on the ground they put up on us.
Yeah, so I think that skews anybody that has to play Navy. Probably the worst thing, the place where we're ranked the worst, I'm looking at this thing here. There are a couple things that are kind of shocking. Passing yards per completion. So we've been throwing a lot of short passes with Mikey Keene to get him going. 112th.
Yeah.
And
when you're averaging 4.
And then the other ones are blocked kicks allowed, 116th, and blocked punts allowed, 117th. So there are, not very many people after us. We're tied there with about 10 teams for the 117th, and then Rice is 129th, and Hawaii are tied for 129th. It's 129 teams, so that's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. It's interesting to look at this kind of stuff, though, as we go along. Just personally, I like to start looking at cumulative stats. I think it's fun.
Well, the other thing that was interesting, and I was looking at this I know it's not a cumulative stat. This is from this game. I was actually looking at the breakdown of our offensive plays because generally speaking, we've been pretty even, right, when it comes to that 50-50. Now, obviously, we were ahead big, so we were trying to run clock, but 69% of our offensive plays were running plays, almost 70%.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that was something I was looking at. I was like, wow. Time of possession was within 10 seconds of each other of last week. So Temple had it for 31 minutes and 40 seconds. We had it for 28 minutes and 20 seconds. Definitely not the big disparity, 10-minute disparity that we're used to seeing with our previous offenses, but still pretty solid. It's a luxury, folks, to be able to control the game. If we can control the game and slow it down, which is something we were missing in years past, and it would result in teams being able to catch up with us, right?
Well, wearing our defense out as well because they're on the field for so much longer.
Exactly. Yeah. So if we have the ability to control the game, control the clock, manage the clock, especially when you have a multi-score lead, that's an advantage. And we have that ability now, whereas we didn't have that before.
So cumulative as far as that time of possession thing goes, which it's pretty interesting. We're averaging 28 minutes and 50 seconds with the ball, and our opponents are averaging 31 minutes and 10 seconds with the ball. So that's an interesting one. What else was what was the other thing that you were talking about in there? Because I was trying to find passing and rushing with the attempts. Okay, rushing attempts 305 total, and passing attempts. Where is the total number of passing attempts? Jeez, this is kind of weird to look at live. like straight into it.
Live and recorded.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I know what you mean.
We're not stopping. Total plays 548, and 305 of those were running plays. So where is the
So you're
number?
looking at 243.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 243 passing attempts and 305 rushing attempts.
So 48% of the time we're passing, the rest of the time we're rushing.
Yeah. So, yeah. Average per attempt, 7.12. Average per catch, 10.87. Average per run attempt, 5.4 overall, but our opponents are only getting 4.3. So we have 17 rushing touchdowns. Our opponent's 14. So, and then we have 21 touchdowns passing, and our opponents only have 9. So
that's crazy.
Yeah.
And again, that goes back to that passing defense that is sneaky good that you were talking about earlier. One other thing that was interesting from the game, I don't know if you guys realize this or not, but he had 5 touchdowns, but he also threw for 71% completion percentage. He only had that one drop that shouldn't have been dropped. If the receiver would have caught that ball, it would have been 76% completion percentage for this game. Yeah. And he threw some bombs. So guys, if you don't understand that that's progress, that is 100% progress. And our yards per pass are up to 10.4 for this game. So we were at 3 or 4 the last couple games. You can see the difference in how far we were able to stretch the field. But again, even in the last few games with all of those drops, you're talking about 63 to 67% completion percentage. So, we're looking at this. You hear a lot of people talking about Mikey Keene, but you don't realize he's actually playing pretty efficient football.
Well, okay, let's look at it like this. This is even weirder. Just looking at these stats, so he's played twice as many games as Dylan has right now, because he's played 6 and Dylan has played 3. Mm-hmm. Or played in 6. Dylan played 3. So, the rating for Dylan was 159.23 cumulative in those 3 games, and Mikey Keene is 132.03, right? Dylan had 70 completions, 102 attempts, 3 interceptions. Mikey has 85 completions, 135 attempts, and 6 interceptions. Percentage-wise, though, passing percentages, the percentage that the ball is caught, 62.96 for Mikey Keene, 68.63 for Dylan Gabriel. Not that big of a difference, really. Mikey Keene now has 860 yards, 10 touchdowns, average game 143.33. Dylan Gabriel through the 3 games had 818 yards, 9 touchdowns, and was averaging 272.67. So really not horrible. Twice as many games, but really in the percentage-wise is keeping up in there pretty well.
Yeah. It's,
5 percentage points.
Yeah, the percentage points considering is pretty solid, but it also goes to show, how good Dylan Gabriel is at spinning the rock on those rainbow passes.
We all know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's just phenomenal at it. We all knew that coming in when he started playing that was one of his strengths. And I think with Mikey, it's just, how much do you want to throw at a true freshman quarterback? I mean, you got to learn the system. You're already, adjusting to the speed of the game. Everybody who's played college football, and I'm sure you can speak to this as well, Andrew, is that when you're getting thrown in there as an 18-year-old kid and you're going from high school to college, it's a whole nother level. Just like from college to NFL, it's a whole nother level.
Absolutely. Yeah. The speed is tremendously different. I mean, you
Yeah,
know,
and
I just like to explain this every once in a while. So high school football, you're playing against average kids. There are some that are above average in college or in high school football, but mostly it's average kids. And like, I know you have a stat of how many players make it from high school football to college football. It's something really low, right?
yeah, it's around 0.5%.
Right. So in college football, then when you get there, you're playing with the best of those high school players that you played against for the most part. Then the pro, it's even less of a percent, you know, and you're playing against the best of the best college players. So the difference between those levels of football is absolutely gigantic. And I mean, you can see it if you watch all three levels of that, you know, sport. Obviously, you know, you're getting older and smarter and you know, playing the game longer and all that stuff. So
Well, and your physical size too. I mean, you know, an 18-year-old kid versus you know, 21-year-old who's been in the strength and conditioning program for 3 years is vastly different.
yeah, or even
Because
more
most
than
high
that,
schools
so.
don't have a great strength and conditioning program at all. So
Right.
when you're talking about speed,
The
agility,
elite ones
strength,
do. The elite ones definitely
Yeah,
do.
yeah. Yeah,
You'd be
absolutely.
surprised, actually. I think with some of the elite high school, the teams that are ranked nationally definitely have what a lot of people would walk into a college weight room and then walk into these high school weight rooms, and they're very similar, shockingly enough.
shocking.
Yeah. All right, so let's see. Just one more thing. Isaiah Bowser. Let's look at Isaiah Bowser and Johnny Richardson. As far as games played, attempts, all that stuff. Isaiah Bowser right now, 109 attempts, 513 yards he's gained on the ground for a loss of 18 yards, a net of 495 yards, averaging 4.5 a carry, 7 touchdowns. Average game, he's got 82.50 yards. And then Johnny Richardson played a couple more games because Bowser was out, those two, but he's only got 66 touches with a net of 406 yards, 6.2 average, actually. So he averages a little bit more, 2 yards, a little bit less than 2 yards, and has 2 touchdowns, but averages for the games that he's played 50.75.
Yeah,
So-
and they do two different things, right? So Johnny Richardson is a speed guy who breaks things,
Right.
And then you've got Bowser, who's more your consistent, steady. I'm going to get you 4 yards to 5 yards on every single carry, and I'm going to wear that defense out.
Right.
And there's something to be said for that.
Absolutely.
Right? Frost used to do that. You know, by
Well, we
running
haven't had a
sideline to
back like
sideline.
Bowser in a long time, though. And
long time.
I wish that we had. I wish that we had him for more years. I really wish that we did. Hopefully, we will find somebody like that, because you can see what a difference it makes to have a guy like that.
Absolutely.
So hopefully, you know, in this whole recruiting thing, and the one that we just signed or committed last week, you know, could be that kind of a guy in the future. But we shall see.
And Gus likes to run. You know, just watching Auburn play, especially the Peach Bowl year, he liked to run 2 backs. He likes to keep his carries on his backs under 20 to 25. And if he does do more than that, if it's a game he really needs to use somebody because it's a special talent, he'll actually sit them out. And he's done this in the past and run other people for a quarter or so, then bring that person back in the fourth quarter because the defense by that point's got their hands on their hips. They've been beat up.
Right.
And now you've got someone who's rested and has energy who's going to just mow you down.
That's smart coaching. Smart coaching.
Yeah.
That's
So
one of the things that is always I've always admired about him is his teams and how they run the ball. Personally,
another thing that he's been doing lately that I noticed in this game too is he's stretching the field. You know, when Ryan O'Keefe, everybody's like, why do we keep playing the same play over and over again? It's because We're getting defenders out of the box by doing that. We're using one of our receivers to bring them out of the box because it's a smart way when you use motion like that to spread the field. It's almost like a spread offense where you take your receivers and you put them near the boundaries, right, to spread the defense out. It's the same kind of concept, except you're using someone who's motioning in the backfield, and we actually tend to use two people motioning in the backfield. So the defense doesn't know where the ball is going, or which side of the line the ball is going, and also you're stretching them out and taking players outside of the box.
Right.
And it's little nuances like that, and he did that a few weeks ago with Bowser by pulling him out wide and then pulling him back in to actually run. So it looked almost like he was doing pass protection, and then he would come back in last second. So the defense couldn't adjust to him coming in and going up the center, going in between the tackles. These are the little adjustments that Gus Malzahn does that people, I don't know if they notice them or not, but I do.
Right.
So, just keep your eye on little nuances like that because they're different every week. He's trying to accomplish the same thing just in a different way.
Right.
If you
were to go back and watch, last year's team, if some of those games are DVR'd or you can find them or whatever, just look at the differences between the offenses, and it's pretty different, really, if you go back and look at it. The thing that I love the most that fascinates me is the motion in the backfield. I love when he does crazy stuff. Sometimes you see the weirdest little combinations back there of people behind the line. There was one in this game that was almost like a Navy type option setup back there, where there was a tight end back there, I think, with like a running, maybe even two running backs. It was really weird. There was definitely four people back there. So I love all that. The weird little formations and stuff like that is definitely one of Gus's things. And Scott Frost was really good about that, of having a lot of motion and people pulling and stuff like that. And Gus does quite a bit of that as well. You just have to watch really to see what's going on there, especially the offensive linemen pulling.
Yeah, they're doing a lot more of that this year.
And he says that they're getting it a lot better too. He did say, somebody was saying, ask him today about the offensive line. And, they're doing such a great job. And he's like, well, there's a lot of things that they can do a lot better. But he was saying that how Cole Schneider has been good at center when Mike Lee has to come out.
Which Mike Lee had to come out.
Yeah. So, Cole Schneider been able to play center and really without noticing, if you didn't know who was there in what position, I don't think that you would really know. You know what I'm saying? If you weren't really watching. So, so we did have praise for him, but he did say that the offensive line still can work on a lot of things. One last clip, and this is Gus Malzahn talking about the defense and how much he thinks that they're improved this game especially.
Whether stopping the run or run fits are really good. I think we've tackled pretty well too. And they're keeping things in front of them. We're not giving up those over the top. I think our secondary is doing a really good job too, and so real proud of those guys. I know they scored at the very end, but I couldn't be happier with our defense. We're able to score points off those turnovers too, which is always a really good compliment. And so our defense is opportunistic. They're going after the ball. We're playing more physical. That's something that Coach Williams really challenged his group about 3 weeks ago, and you can see they're growing. They're starting to take on his personality.
Absolutely. I'm excited about the way that they are taking on T. Will's personality. They're finally starting to get it, I think, a little bit compared to early on in the season. New defensive coach, first time being a defensive coordinator, so you got to give him a little bit of, a little bit of space and to let him do his thing. You could tell after the game, if you watched, that Gus was really happy with T. Will and went up and gave him a big hug and stuff. So that was cool, I thought, for sure.
Yeah. The other thing,
that's
just
his guy. I mean, he was a player for him for years. So, and then was his linebackers coach there. So he brought him here and made him the defensive coordinator, pretty quickly when he was looking for a staff. So it wasn't like he had a lot of time to figure something out. And I mean, he gave T. Will his shot, and I think he's doing really good because he's making advances every week. You know what I'm saying, with his scheme and his defense, and it's really becoming its own thing.
Yeah, and as Gus, you get guys. There's a learning curve for all this, and he can only feed them so much at a time, right? He can't just say, "Okay, here's my entire playbook." So you're going to see more wrinkles and more things develop as the season goes on and people get comfortable with it. But yeah, I just love the fact that, everybody knows who Gus Malzahn is. Everybody knows, where he was as an offensive mind, and just watching him start to tinker, for lack of a better term. And as he gets more entrenched here with the players, I think it's just fun to watch to see what he's going to come up with, because it's going to be a little bit different every time. Now, the other thing that's, from an execution standpoint, penalties were a lot better this week. And we only had 4 for 34 yards. So that was pretty solid. We didn't hurt ourselves very much.
Yeah, I was looking at that in those cumulative stats as well, which was interesting. Let me find it again here. It's not horrible compared to opponents. Let me find it here. Where is it? Penalties. We've had 52 penalties for 441 yards. Our opponents have had 49 penalties for 389 yards. So it's not horrible. Average per game of fumbles, of penalties and yards is 55.13 yards for us and 48.63 yards for everyone else that we've played. So it's not horrible to me.
Not where we'd like it to be, but I'm just happy.
You'd like it to be less.
Yeah, I'm just happy. It seems to be, and again, that's part of learning an offense. It's part of learning a defense, being in the right position, jumping offside, whatever. The big thing that I really appreciate that we've done is, and this has got to be coaching, is you watch the defensive backs, they're not making as many mistakes on pass interference calls.
Yeah.
And that was really hurting us early on in the season. Huge. It seems like they've settled down.
Yeah.
So it's a huge. I think we only had 1 PI call this game. So that's a huge deal, and can absolutely extend drives, especially on third downs when people are passing down the field.
Yeah.
So the better we can get at that, the better. We will be. And the only other thing I really had for this week is, guess what? This week, we could be bowl eligible, and as of right now, we are 4th in the conference.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I was thinking about that. I hadn't looked to see the where we were ranked in the conference, but that's pretty good. We definitely, and bowl eligible, I think it's a big deal. So I think that these guys deserve it if they can win. This week I think is going to be harder than some people realize, though. Tulane could put up more of a fight than we think. And we'll talk about that when we come back. If you haven't figured it out yet, I love Tijuana Flats. I would love them even if they weren't a partner with us on the Knightline Sports Network. They have all kinds of great Tex-Mex food, and it's fresh, by the way. Made to order burritos, tacos, enchiladas, chimichangas, quesadillas, bowls, nachos, and taco salads. And if you haven't tried the queso, you are completely missing out. It is the best queso that I've ever had in my life. Absolutely hands down. And the sauce bar that they have, everything from wild to mild in there. Absolutely awesome stuff. Not only do I love the food at Tijuana Flats, but I love the company, a UCF-born company. And they give back to the community with the Justin Queso Foundation. So head to your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. Hey, Jeep Wrangler owners, have you ever sat in your office at work and watched the rain just pour into your Jeep because the weatherman said that there was a 0 chance of rain? Or you put your doors back on because there was a 100% chance and then not a drop of rain fell? Well, there's a company out there that can help take the worry away and give you the peace of mind to be without your doors. The company's called Life Without Doors. They make waterproof rain curtains and dash covers for Wranglers. Life Without Doors is there to help make the decision to leave the doors at home an easy one. Find out more at lifewithoutdoors.com.
Spice up your company with homemade marketing services from Tasty Gravy Creative. Tasty Gravy serves up a menu of budget-friendly marketing, graphic design, and public relations services customized to your specific goals. Co-owned by a UCF graduate, Tasty Gravy can help refresh your brand, strengthen your online presence, or reinforce your company's message. Contact Tasty Gravy for help with your website, social media, marketing, advertising materials, and more. Visit tastygravy.com.
Time now to check out the rest of the scores around the American. Houston with a 100-yard kickoff return by Marcus Jones with 17 seconds left beats SMU 44-37 in a thriller there. Number 2, Cincinnati pulls away late to beat Tulane 31-12. On Thursday night, it was East Carolina topping South Florida 29-14, and Friday night saw Navy edging Tulsa 20-17. I'm Jeff Allen. Coming up on this week's AAC Report, we will recap those games and get you set for this week's contest, including our Spotlight Matchup of the Week, Navy and Notre Dame, and we'll see where Cincinnati lands in the College Football Playoff Bowl. That's all coming up on this week's AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network.
Alrighty, looking ahead to next week, homecoming. And Tulane, which will be interesting. Right now, we are a 13-point favorite as far as ESPN and team rankings go and all that stuff. Their pick center. 13-point favorite. It has been between 12.5 and 13.5, so it's right in the middle right now. So I think that sounds pretty good. Temple, though, has had a heck of a season. They're not nearly as bad, I think, as their record says they are.
You mean Tulane?
Tulane, yes. Did I say Temple?
Okay. Yeah.
I was still stuck on Temple.
It's the terrible tease, bro.
Yeah,
we got
yeah.
3 of them in our conference.
Well,
You're good.
Whatever, yeah. Yes. It's late. Yes, so Tulane, not nearly as bad as their record shows that they are. They are, what are they, 1-7? And something like that. Yeah, 1-7, right?
They are 1-7.
That's crazy. They've played some really good games, though. They played, remember that when they played Oklahoma? They played Oklahoma very hard. I really thought that they were going to win that game very early in the season. That was one of the first weeks, I think. The
first week for them.
Was it the first week? Okay. They have an extremely hard strength of schedule this year, by far the highest in the American. They are number 17, so the number 17th hardest schedule in all of, or 18, I'm sorry, 18th hardest schedule in all of college football. So comparing that to
this,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, I don't know how this compares to the Cows, but the Cows were saying in order to be the best, you have to beat the best, and it hasn't worked out for either one of them. So
yeah,
I don't know.
That
might be the wrong philosophy going here.
So they have the 17th hardest schedule. We have the 81st hardest schedule, which that's crazy. Crazy the differences. They've played, I believe, 4 top 25 teams that when they played them were in the top 25. And the only team that they have been able to beat, I believe, was, who is it here? Morgan State, 69-20. OU, though, they played 40-35. Ole Miss, 61-21. they lost. UAB, they lost to 28-21. ECU 52-29 loss. Houston 40-22. SMU 55-26. Cincinnati 31-12. Our common opponent being Cincinnati, they didn't let Cincinnati score so many points.
No, they didn't.
So, I don't know. This could be interesting. Definitely could be interesting.
Well,
I'm surprised that we're that high of a favorite, to be honest with you. I know that it's at home. They're 1-7 overall, 0-4 in the conference. But
yes, and they also lost 52-29 to East Carolina.
Yeah, I know, but I think they're much more of a formidable opponent than their stats say they are, and I think that Gus Malzahn agrees. It was what he was saying in his press conference today that he had. So, this is one of those games where you could easily overlook a team like this. This would be one of those classic trap games where you're completely overlooking a team like this. Oh, they're 1-7. Oh, they're 0-4 in the conference. And then they come out and punch you in the mouth. So,
well, let's talk about them a little bit. We do have an 84.8% chance to win the game, according, again, to the FPI, which is only 1 percentage point lower than last week. They averaged 29.6 points per game versus UCF's 34.8. So a little bit closer. I think Temple was at 22 points per game. They average 387 yards versus our 420.5, which obviously we haven't been averaging 420 yards. But we did make that this last week, so that's pretty close. However, they allow 476 yards per game versus our 362. And so this is, again, where the defense can be the biggest, make the biggest difference there. Obviously, UCF won last year's game, as you mentioned, that OU game, 40-35 win. It's homecoming for us. I don't know. Have you heard whether they're going to allow full-on Spirit Splash this year or not?
I have no idea. I mean, I saw it on the schedule. So,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I haven't heard that they weren't going to allow the full-on Spirit Splash. So get your rubber duckies while you can. It was supposed to be, I think, 72 degrees outside with about a 12-mile-an-hour wind. So get in there quick, get your duck, and get out because the wind's going to be blowing and you're going to be cold.
What day is that supposed to be?
I don't know the day off the top of my head. I want to say it's Thursday. Okay. But we'd have to look that one up. That being said, yards rushing per game, 234 versus 215. That 234 is in our favor. I'm sorry. They give up 234 versus our 215. We rush for 205 yards per game. They're 152, so we have an advantage there. So again, if we control the running game, we should be able to control Tulane a little bit. They allow 185 rushing yards per game more recently and 291 yards through the air. So they're allowing 291 yards through the air as well. Okay. Which is, if Mikey Keene can throw for 200 yards and we have our running game, I think we should be in pretty good shape. I think we can control the game similar to what we did versus Temple.
Let's hope so. I've just found the Spirit Splash information, by the way. I'm looking at the schedule right now. Where is it? Spirit Splash, November 5th. So whatever day that is, it's the first today. UCF's biggest homecoming attraction is back in full tradition is back in full effect. Students will be able to rush into the pond and catch the elusive ducks. During the annual event, will be special guest speakers as well as performances from the cheer team, night moves, and marching knights. So it sounds like it's on. It's on.
Yep, it's on, and it's on the 5th, which is a Friday, folks. So it will be on Friday.
And then fireworks that evening, all kinds of stuff. So cool. Very cool. Glad to see all that stuff back in action. I think with all the football games and stuff like this and not being massive COVID outbreaks, I think that you can safely say that things are getting back to normal finally. So
yeah,
thank goodness. Yeah. So.
All right. I think that might take us to our Tijuana Flats hot take of the week. What do you think?
I think so. It's probably a good spot. We will we'll do a short break, and then we'll come right back with that.
I'm Jeff Allen. Join me each and every week on the Knightline Sports Network for the AAC Report. We bring you in-depth coverage of each school in football, basketball, baseball, softball, soccer, golf, tennis, and more, as well as bring you insider interviews and focus in on the biggest games and news of the week. That's all right here each week on the AAC Report, only on the Knightline Sports Network.
Welcome. This is a promo for the Take a Left at Albuquerque podcast, new to the Knightline Sports Network. You should listen to it. I say things like this.
We need to stop blaming Jerry because we would do the exact same thing if we owned the Dallas freaking Cowboys. Do you know how much fun it is to own the Dallas Cowboys?
My guests will say things sometimes like this.
It's the Lord of the Flies thing that happens when they don't understand that things are wrong. Spoiler alert, until Piggy dies.
Yeah, Lord of the Flies has been out for like 100 years. I don't even know.
Yeah. Sorry to everyone at home who I spoiled the book for. A book's been out for like 90 years or something.
And sometimes, rarely though, I'll say really stupid things like this. If they don't make it out of the West and the Raptors get to the finals, I will go on either this show or whoever's show and say that Kawhi Leonard is overrated because I have too much evidence of it. New episodes drop every Friday with me and some of my good friends right here on the Knightline Sports Network.
Welcome to the Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week. Visit TijuanaFlats.com for takeout or delivery, or visit your local Tijuana Flats. Tex-Mex for everyone. All right, I had my weekly visit to Tijuana Flats this last week, by the way, just like I do pretty much every week. And of course, again, it was awesome. The chicken wings. Have you tried the chicken wings yet, Roger, at Tijuana Flats?
I have not tried the chicken wings.
You need to get in there and try the chicken wings because they're awesome. I do have some Tijuana Flats cash that I've been giving away to people that have been asking questions on the Ask Knightline, and I will pick another couple of people this week that ask questions, and I will be contacting you on Twitter where you left those questions. So look out for that. I'll private message you, and I'll get some information from you, and I'll mail those out. The other couple of people that I've given those to already, they are in the mail. I promise you, you will get them in a number of days, very quickly. I finally got them in the mail. I'm sorry, this stuff takes me forever. But anyway, Tijuana Flats Hot Take of the Week. Roger will let you go first. How do you think it's going to turn out with UCF and Tulane on Saturday?
Well, I've kind of been alluding to it the last segment, but UCF wins, folks. My Tijuana Flats hot take of the week score prediction extravaganza is 48-21 UCF. I think UCF takes care of the ball. I think we might get some turnovers. I don't think. Actually, I don't think we might. I know we will get some turnovers, especially with the way we've been trending all year. I think we have an advantage in that they have a weakness in the running game, and we have an advantage in the running game, which means we can control the clock and play possession football if we need to. But if we get out to a quick start, One thing I learned about Gus is he wasn't pulling back. So I imagine he's going to keep the foot on the throttle for a while and get these guys as many reps as they possibly can. So I'm expecting a 48-21 UCF dub on homecoming.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to go a little crazier than you on this one.
Just
Shocking. A little crazier. So I think our defense has turned a page. And I think that our defense, 2 games in a row now, they've allowed 7 points. I think they're going to do it again. I think that we're going to have definite turnovers, like you were saying, quite a few of them. And I just feel like maybe Jalen Robinson may be back or something like that. But Gus opens the offense wide open at home in front of the fans, which he talks about all the time, wants to put a show on for us. I do think that Tulane, it's going to be more of a task than we thought, but I think we win really big on this one. And I think we're going to go and score a lot of points in this one. I'm going to say, and I know it's crazy, but you thought I was crazy last week too, right? When I said 41-7.
I 100% did think you were crazy last week.
Yeah,
but,
and
hey,
I almost called it on the
number.
number. Yeah. I'm going to say 52-7. We're opening the offense even farther. The offense is going to roll on Saturday. 52-7 on homecoming for UCF over Tulane. That's it.
If that happens, I will be a very, very happy camper. So I hope you're right.
I hope I'm right, too. It makes me look a lot better when I'm right. And I have much more fun when I'm right. All righty, we'll be right back with news and notes. And now, news and notes from the world of UCF sports. All right, not starting off with good news here. UCF women's soccer lost to Cincinnati 1-3 and Memphis 0-2 in the championship this weekend. They finished the season 8-7-1 overall and 3-4-1 for the season in conference. Time to refocus for next year, for sure.
Yep. UCF volleyball, on a brighter note, is currently 18-6 and are 11-1 in conference after sweeping Memphis, Tulsa, and Wichita State 3-0. Congratulations, ladies. They are currently ranked the number 27th team in the nation, so they creeped up a little bit and are soon, hopefully, to break the top 25. Also, I'm gonna shake it up a little bit and do a second one. Interesting factoid: all 4 schools joining the Big 12 have now hosted ESPN's College Game Day for football, and people take this for granted because not all schools have. Not all Power 5 schools have. Actually, in fact, many have not. BYU last hosted in 2009. They've had 3 total appearances. Houston hosted in 2011. That's their lone appearance. UCF has appeared twice on game day, believe it or not. Then they hosted in 2018. And Cincinnati has also had 2 appearances on game day and will be hosting game day this weekend.
Yeah, I see that happening more often in our future, I think, especially with us rolling into the Big 12 and that whole deal going down. I think that will happen a few more times, hopefully. UCF men's soccer is 8-6 and 6-3 in conference play after losing to the Cows, unfortunately. And I haven't played this in a long time, so this is a good spot for it. They lost to the Cows 3-4 in overtime and SMU 0-5. The team will play Tulsa on the 5th before playing in the conference championship on the 10th. They're currently ranked 41st in the nation. So
yeah, they dipped a little bit on there. And remember that SMU team was ranked the last time we played them, and I think we beat them 5-0 or something crazy like that.
Yeah, so they'll get it back together. They usually do pretty well in the tournament type stuff, so I'm looking for them to get that worked out there. So, all right, that's going to do it for us. This has been Knightline 268. I'm Andrew Phegley.
And I'm Roger Phipps. Go Knights!
Charge on.
UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold charge right through the line. Victory is our cry. B-S-E-T-O-R-Y. Tonight our knights will shine. UCF, Knights. UCF, let's go Knights. UCF, charge on to the field. With our spirits, we'll never yield. Black and gold charge right through the line. Victory is our cry. B-S-E-T-O-R-Y. Tonight our knights will shine. Go Knights!